All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's practice and qualifying coverage from Phoenix Raceway for the fourth round already of the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. Today, we bring you practice and qualifying for tomorrow afternoon's race, obviously for the Cup Series side. Currently in Group 1 practice, which started roughly 5 minutes ago, and we are live now, obviously, to bring you the full coverage of this practice and qualifying session, all on the same stream. You won't have to go anywhere at the conclusion of practice. We'll be live for qualifying immediately after. And welcome and greetings to all of you tuning in on this early Saturday afternoon. We got quite the gap period, unlike last week between streams. Last week it was back to back to back with no breaks in between across the three streams, with practice and qualifying coverage for the Cup Series at COTA, followed by the Truck Series race, which was immediately at noon Eastern after a 10 a.m. Eastern start. Trucks were out in St. Petersburg, and then back to the O'Reilly race immediately after that in about another 5 to 10 minutes, which was at COTA once again. Now here at Phoenix, it is only the O'Reilly and Cup Series this weekend. IndyCar is actually in Phoenix for a doubleheader this afternoon with the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. That O'Reilly race will start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern under the lights tonight. And as far as the IndyCar race, that will be coming up not long after this practice and qualifying session, about an hour or so after. On track, we got a pass going on in practice. Carson Hocevar making a move on Austin Dillon. In the 3, Spire Motorsports jumping out of the gates quick in this practice, with Daniel Suarez first and Carson Hocevar second. Michael McDowell's actually fastest in practice last week with the Circuit of the Americas practice session, and went on to run top 10 all day. Does that mean now that we're back on the ovals that is going to bode well for both Suarez and Hocevar? We'll have to wait and see. Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain also amongst those in this group. 19 cars in Group 1. And right now, again, Daniel Suarez the fastest. 26.877 was the best time that Suarez has put down. He's already ran 13 laps in this session. Carson Hocevar's teammate has ran for 10. And his second quickest overall. Chase Briscoe in third. Ross Chastain fourth. Austin Cindric is fifth. Sixth place, Chris Buescher. Connor Zilic, the rookie, in seventh. Eric Jones, eighth. Cody Ware, ninth. And Austin Dillon rounds out the top 10. Todd Gilliland in 11th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 12th. Zane Smith 13th. Riley Herbst 14th. Austin Hill in 15th. 16th for Anthony Alfredo. Josh Berry 17th. Noah Gragson 18th. And Cole Custer 19th of 19. Group B will be coming on immediately after the Group A practice run. Jake himself, Bam Hall, thanks for tuning in, everybody. You guys are the first in the chat down below. Full screen commercial break right now on Prime Video, which is visually where you can watch today's practice session. If I sound a little nasally, I'm a bit under the weather, so I apologize for that for today's stream. Hopefully I'll be feeling a bit better tomorrow. I was actually feeling worse yesterday, so slightly better than what I was yesterday today. And hopefully that gets progressively better one more day. For all of us, so you don't have to hear me sounding too congested. A little bit of a strep throat situation going on now, but I still have my voice enough to give you the live commentary. And I'll let you listen into the booth when they come back from commercial on Prime Video. Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, Clinton Boyer, of course, in the booth there. 25 minutes for Group A and Group B in this practice session. And that will be the same groups in which they will qualify in later. Actually, not the same groups, just not group qualifying like it was last week. Last week on a road course group qualifying, and then knockout style qualifying on the drafting ovals as well. But back to traditional one-round single car qualifying when we do get there, around this 1 mile flat Phoenix Raceway oval.
25-minute practice doing each, 15 minutes to go in Group 1. Spire Motorsports Chastain at the top of the chart, along with Briscoe's Toyota and Cindric's Ford. A look at turn 3. Clint, why are you watching this carefully?
Well, because it's the tightest corner, right? Very tight compared to the other end. And this is so important in the balance of the car. You see the cars, they'll go in here, run right and hook that bottom. See a lot of cars shooting up already. Are they sliding in? The balance of this is very tricky, Kevin. Walks through.
Yeah, and I think the most important part is right up here. As you look at the I'll get this figured out here. As you look at this wall right here, the beginning of that wall was always my reference point, because you want to have that left front on this yellow line right here, because there's a little trough right there, and if you can get that thing locked in while you're on the brakes, you go right back to partial throttle, you can grab that line. So
And you can,
there's very few cars that are actually doing it correctly.
like right there, you saw him wrap the line with the balance. Going back to the balance of this racetrack, the trick is you want to roll that middle well. And all of a sudden you keep freeing up to do so. Now you're loose in back over there in turn 3, like you're talking about, and even into 1 and loose off the corner. Very tricky to match both ends of this racetrack when they're drastically different the way they are. There you go. There's that line you're talking about.
Yeah, and if you can get that left front locked on that line and then drive it out to the flag stand right here, that's really what you want to do. But you have to be so patient, and the balance of the car to make sure it's not loose on the entry right here while you're downshifting, and being able to make it turn right here in the center of the corner and be able to drive off without sliding on that right rear, really, really hard to achieve.
This fellow's been making some noise this year. Have a good start to the season, Zane Smith.
He's done a great job, and you see him right there, right on.
Oh no, that's my tire.
Well, this is exactly what started happening last year, and right now is probably best case scenario for all these guys, not having to drive on the apron like they're going to have to do a restart. All the things right now are pretty good conditions. Other than the fast lap is going to be a fair amount faster than what they'll run in racing. Only 16 laps on Buscher's car right there, so right front tire's flat, Larry.
Yeah, Kevin, he had told Scott Graves it's time. Or so it just adds to it. So when he runs Scott, that's the thing right there. Let it just film.
And you want to take as much low air as possible. So we've seen this over last year's races as well. So
You're
not something that we've not seen before here. We've seen right fronts, we've seen right rears, we've seen left rears, and that's purely from the teams trying to get that air pressure as low as possible to keep the car low, to keep the car turning.
And right there, ultimately, to determine the championship, right?
Sure did. But that's greed, Kevin. That's not necessarily, that's not a Goodyear tire fault. That's these teams. Reason you run those pressures as low as possible because it makes grip.
And you see that wall right there. That was always my reference point. This was one of those racetracks where when I would find my entry points, a lot of good markers here. You'll see it going into turn 1. There's cones on the outside wall. I would use this sign right there to as my turn-in point, get that left front right on that yellow line, maybe a foot off the yellow line to be able to come back down. You see Zane using the aprons. You got a lot of options in turns 1 and 2 to manipulate the car to do what you want it to do.
Now, late in the run, he and his teammate Todd Gilliland are 2 of the 4 fastest cars on the racetrack. You know who else is fast? Exactly who you told me. I talked about Blaney at the top of the show. You said, just keep an eye on all those Penske cars. Austin Cindric. See, well, there's a tie.
Wow.
You see Cindric, best consecutive 10, 15, and 20 so far. That number 2 car, Penske. There he is. Pretty good on the long run, Kevin. That's what you're looking for.
And what Blaney and those guys always seem to do better than everybody else is they can keep the balance of their car better throughout the whole run. But the end of the first turn, right, you want to let off the brake and go back to partial throttle. That car has to turn right there in order to make lap time. And I've been watching Austin, and his car will just stay lower at the end of that first third part of the corner, which keeps it lower through the center, which lets you get to that partial throttle, keep that mid-corner speed up to the 5/8, 3/4 mark of the corner. And when you see the Riley Herbst in front of him up the racetrack a little bit, keeps that left front fender in the air and helps that car turn.
You hear Kyle Busch talk about finishing the throttle, and that's exactly when I heard you walking us through that corner. I went right in the back of my mind of Kyle Busch saying, I need to finish this off. You have to come back out of the gap, especially in 1 and 2. You're in big trouble.
Penske on the pole for this afternoon's IndyCar race has a chance to double up here in this unique meeting of IndyCar and NASCAR.
See him moving around already quite a bit. Okay.
Yeah, and you know, you can move around right there in 3 and 4, but that's probably not one throughout the race. The other end right here in 1 and 2, you've got to be versatile. You can't just ride behind somebody. The front end will not turn. You've got to go up the racetrack. 1 and 2 is the end that you really want to do that on. You see him up the racetrack right there. Only thing that he's learning right now, because you've got to be versatile in turns 1 and 2 to be able to win this race and get through traffic, because you're going to get stuck in traffic at some point. This end right here in 3 and 4, I mean, when they sprayed the top of the racetrack, you might be able to make some lap time up there, but I always looked at trying to make my car really good in 1 and 2, because that's where you're going to make the passes and make the lap time in traffic to be able to do things that other cars can't. 3 and 4, you're kind of going to need to be locked to the bottom and just take what you can get right there to try to manage the gap to tackle it in 1 and 2 to make a pass.
I'm with you. I really like what Briscoe's trying to. He's moving all over the place. Again, you see it right. You're going to be mired in traffic at one point or another in this race, and you have to be able to make some speed in a different part of the racetrack and keep that air on your car, which is exactly what he's working on.
Carson Hocevar second on the speed chart here. He listened in on his radio.
I had to be really pointed straight, one throttle.
Okay.
Very common. You know, it's a long ways to the 5/8 to the exit of the corner in turn 2. So you got to give that car partial throttle as much as you can until you feel it rotate, and then you pick your eyes up to drive it as straight as possible so that you can open your hands. Cars are very sensitive to get your hands open to be able to get those rear tires to consistently drive.
Regan?
Well, just to add to what Carson Hocevar said right there on the radio, guys, something else that you always have to worry about here at Phoenix that he's already mentioned, brake shake, having a little bit of trouble with that. And Kevin Clint, you guys know like I do, once you have that brake shake, it can make anything the car's doing feel way worse when it starts happening. Right now, they're going to try and manage it with the fans is what they're talking about.
Yeah, and that's visible here. Because you have to be able to use the brakes in order to manipulate the car. So when those brakes are shaking, it rattles the wheel in your hands and makes it difficult.
So his 5 Phoenix starts with the best finish of 15. When he's right near the top of the chart in this practice.
All right, we'll go through the full running order for Group A practice yet again. Daniel Suarez is first, Carson Hocevar second, Chase Briscoe third, Ross Chastain fourth, and Austin Cindric is currently fifth. Sixth for Chris Buescher, Connor Zilich in seventh, Eric Jones eighth, Cody Ware in ninth, Austin Dillon rounds out the top 10, and Todd Gillen in 11th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 12th, Zane Smith 13th, Riley Herbst 14th, and Austin Hill 15th. Anthony Alfredo in 16th, Josh Berry 17th, Noah Gragson 18th, and Cole Custer 19th. Most of those cars in this group are still on the racetrack. Chase Briscoe has ran the most laps so far, 33 consecutive from the start of the run. Riley Herbst actually about 35 laps as well, so few drivers up around or over 30 laps. Anthony Alfredo in the 48 car this weekend in replacement for Alex Bowman. Bowman was replaced mid-race by Mike Snyder last week at COTA. Apparently he is dealing with vertigo, so he was ruled earlier this week to not be medically cleared to race. And so Anthony Alfredo, Fast Pasta, will be making his first Cup start of the season and his first ever at Hendrick Motorsports. What an opportunity. We'll see what this young driver can do. We see him part-time on the Xfinity Series levels, or O'Reilly Series levels now, and obviously part-time in Cup as well. Runs a lot of the super speedways for Beard Motorsports. Actually failed to qualify for the Daytona 500 just a few weeks ago. Remember, he had made the race, virtue of racing his way in through the duel, but then failed post-race inspection. Therefore, which was why him and that team were DQ'd. So this is his first official start of the year after DNQing once before. But guaranteed a spot, not only because he's in a chartered ride, but we don't have more than 40 entries this week. We do have a couple of open entries, one of which, Austin Hill in the 33 for Richard Childress Racing, who is in this group. Jesse Love was in that car at COTA last week. So a couple of the full-time O'Reilly racers for Richard Childress in those cars.
And for tire stalls.
pretty lucky here. You could see him getting into the corner into one. He's already way high. It tells me that left rear tire is going down. Probably sensed it. Could have been way worse there.
That could have been way worse. And he's lucky that he just wound up with a few scrapes
Just a little
on
kiss,
the right
right?
side of the car. Also, you know, we see a lot of guys moving around the racetrack right here. This one's from air pressure being too low, but we see a lot of guys moving around the racetrack right here. Also hard on the right front tire, also hard on the right rear tire because the track doesn't have a lot of rubber up the racetrack. And like I say, I think it's unnecessary in turns 3 and 4, but in turn 3, it's definitely going to be able to move around.
You see that left rear tire wrinkled up and really spot. I mean, you have to. That's where the juice is. You have to run these tires as low as possible. You have to be careful on the apron, Kevin. We've seen a lot of these failures, and a lot of crew chiefs tell their drivers, take care of my tires, stay off that apron for the first few laps around this place.
And as many laps as these guys have run on the tire, in turns 1 and 2, that apron is also something that I would start testing. Not only do you need to be in the middle to the 3/4 of the way up the racetrack in turns 1 and 2, but I always like to drive in on the apron, be able to get that car to grab that right front tire. As that line rubbers up down here in 1 and 2, you'll be able to get that car to grab that right front on the yellow line, and then you can manage and manipulate the throttle all the way around the yellow line to just kind of get it locked in. So a lot of things that the driver can do here on that end of the racetrack to really help the car. But you can see that left rear tire, just how low they still are. I mean, that car of Chastain has run 35 laps, and that left rear is still wrinkled up.
Wow. But it's all right. Best consecutive. Who is it? Right there. 30 laps. It's Ross Chastain, P1.
So our production and replay folks put together a really neat animation that shows you the tire fall off from lap 1 to late in the run using Daniel Suarez, who is fastest. So starting all even, the middle car is on 10-lap tires and the back one is on 20-lap tires.
And that's why you'll see right here the difference in speed of 10 laps and 20 laps compared to fresh tires. Now, you got to know at the beginning of this run where your markers are. I was a big marker guy here. And when you see this drastic amount of speed change, you've got to use those markers because the fresh tires are what you need to base off what you want to do for your qualifying run. But as you go through this run and you go back and look at these lap times to say, okay, I was good in the 10-lap run, 20-lap run, I was too tight. And you go back and you look at all the data and you see somebody who was way better than you on the 20-lap run. Well, they were using more brake, less brake, driving in further. These guys will go back and study all that tonight, but you're going to have to go a long ways. You're going to have to go 70 laps, 75 laps, possibly on a set of tires. So it's going to get to a point where it plateaus off, but different markers, different speed that you have to adjust to inside the car.
All right, so we have 2 groups for practice. If you're one of, let's say, Chase Briscoe's teammates at JGR, what do you want to learn from him or from listening to his radio and from the comments that team is making that's going to help you when your group comes out on track?
Did the tires blow out? Can I let some air out of my tires? I mean, his tires didn't blow out. I want to let mine blow out.
How great can we get here? First and foremost, and that's true. That really is. But I want to hear his balance. I want to hear if he's tight or loose in 1 and 2. I want to hear how his throttle is. If he's loose off the 2, can he get into the corner? Braking is such a big thing here with more horsepower, as Larry told us about. Braking's going to be even more of a bear this time around.
So riding with Eric Jones, we got some radio from Connor Zilch.
I think if I get just off the corner, I struggle to get the power down. I'm a little bit of, I think, shot contact on entry, like it's just kind of bouncy. It doesn't feel great. My center is decent. I feel okay with the middle of the corner. But yeah, I just struggle off.
As soon as you tighten that thing up off the corner, what's it do, Kevin?
Well, the first thing I would tell you is get the entry right. Like, you cannot start working on the rest of the corner if you can't get in the corner hard here. You've got to be able to drive the car in the corner. Otherwise, it takes the brake pedal out of the equation of being able to manage the speed of that car on entry. Like when we were inside of Eric Jones's car right there, you see that just a little bit turn to the right. And that's why they'll split the brake pads and different things. If that car is edgy right now, it's going to be miserable in the race, but it takes all your options away of being able to drive in hard, slow the car down, back the corner up, use less brake. You've got to have options with that brake pedal. So if it's not good on entry, you're in trouble.
You lose your consistency. You take that entry away, it's different every time you enter.
All right, Group 1 is done. Spire Motorsports, Suarez and Hocevar with practice Group 1.
All right, commercial break full screen as Group 1 practice is wrapped up at Phoenix Raceway. Daniel Suarez, fastest overall, put down 34 laps, his fastest of which a 26.877 and an average lap speed of 133.943 miles per hour. Carson Hocevar, his teammate, second quickest, about 800ths of a second or so back. Chase Briscoe was third, Ross Chastain fourth, and Austin Cindric rounds out the top five in fifth. Sixth was Chris Buescher. Buescher had a flat right front tire. Obviously, air pressure huge here at Phoenix. We saw quite a few tire blowouts in the fall, as was diagnosed on the TV side of things, as you heard from Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, and Mike Joy, and already a couple of them in practice as well, Buescher being the first of which, so he only ran 16 laps before having to bring his car onto pit road, and I don't think he's going to be able to participate in qualifying, because no, that's a different set of tires, my bad. Yeah, I think he'll be able to participate in qualifying. He does have some damage, obviously, to the underbody of the race car, but he didn't hit the wall or anything too major that it looked like he was not going to be able to participate, so we should see Buescher still. Connor Zilic, anyway, was 7th behind Buescher, then Eric Jones at 8th, Cody Ware 9th, Austin Dillon rounds out our current top 10. And Todd Gilliland in 11th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 12th, Zane Smith 13th, Riley Herbst 14th was the second driver to have a flat tire. He had a flat left rear going into turns 3 and 4. Got a piece of the wall. I don't think it's anything too major. We should still see Herbst in qualifying, but that will be something to kind of keep note as we get into single car qualifying in a little over a half hour. Riley Herbst, behind him was Austin Hill, making his first start of the season. Same for Anthony Alfredo in 16th in the 48th. And Josh Berry 17th, Noah Gragson 18th, and Cole Custer 19th. Quite shocking to see Josh Berry 17th on the leaderboard as he finished in the top 6 in both races at Phoenix last season. When we look into the lap average side of things, as far as everybody who ran 5+ laps, which is everybody, Carson Hocevar had the fastest 5-lap average after Daniel Suarez was the fastest overall. The fastest 10 through 25 lap average was Austin Cindric. He did not make a 30+ lap run consecutively, so that is going to lead for Ross Chastain to then have the fastest 30 lap average. And there were only 7 drivers who completed a 30 lap run or more. And about half of the group made a 25 lap run or more. And a little over that for obviously Group 2, or 20 lap average in Group 1. And we'll see what's going to happen in Group 2 here shortly.
30 in the right front or 26 in the right rear, but we know they go much lower than that. Goodyear gives them information that tells them where the durability is and where the performance is. Now, what Goodyear will do for these teams that's had an issue in practice, even if you didn't have an issue, they will cut the tire apart, and that will tell them if it was a truly over defection of the sidewall from low air pressure, or if it was camber or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great tool, because basically, if you go out and run your car and you cut that tire apart and it doesn't look like there's any issue, you're dumping air out of that tire until they're right on the edge of this.
So Chris Buescher with a right front tire during that practice session. Riley Herbst with a left rear. They're not bad tires. We just do bad things to them, it always says. Group 2 practice coming out next.
So some group members can get.
Yeah, and that's obviously been a common theme I've noticed with this next-gen car specifically. These teams try to get ultra aggressive with their air pressure setups, the lowest you can have them at the start of the run. As the air pressure builds throughout the course of the run, you can then keep it lower, equates to better lap time later in the run as that pressure begins to build. 16 laps in, a flat tire for Chris Buescher. And Riley Herbst completed over 30 laps before his tire went flat, 35. So it's various depending on the load of the race car. Obviously with Chris Buescher, it was the right front versus the left rear for Herbst, so more load on the right front on a flat oval. Ovals in general, but especially a flat oval. So a little too low in the air pressure there for Buescher. Obviously the same for Herbst, but in the left rear, you could get away with a lower left rear air pressure compared to all the other tires. Common theme that we saw in practice. I was surprised we saw it in the race itself as many times last year as we did. But it did happen in the race as well. 3 of the 4 Championship 4 drivers had tire issues at some point. 2 of them in Stage 2 between Briscoe and Larson. Larson eventually came back to still win the championship. Byron late in the race did crash after his flat tire. Finished 4th of the Championship 4 because of it. In the waning laps, trying to run down Hamlin. Teams were just trying to be aggressive to catch that 11 car who was dominating all day long. Dean Tate, Ethan Chua, Santiago Kidd, Regine Huddleston, Jake Bam Hall. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in here on this early Saturday afternoon. Yes, this is Cup practice right now. Qualifying will be soon. They're about halfway through practice. 25 minutes for Group A, and those 19 drivers is already up. Group B will be next.
The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series hits the track to battle it out under the lights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the CW.
We're between Group 1 and Group 2 practice. Let's go downstairs and join Riga.
Well, Mike, the driver that was 5th in this practice session, Austin Cindric. So you want to look at it was the 10, 15, 20 lap averages. Your car was the quickest. How fine was that line out there of being able to go quick and manage the tires?
Yeah, it was an interesting session. Obviously, kind of unloading with IndyCar rubber. It's probably the most guys been hesitant to go out early. But yeah, obviously our correct statement, our full Mustang had really good speed for all 3 phases of the run, and see what we have to do to adjust on it for tomorrow. But going out 4th in qualifying is gonna be real tricky for us. So hope to maximize that and try and give ourselves some good track position for tomorrow.
All right, good luck qualifying. Thank you.
He had that Team Penske shield on his hat. This is a big weekend for Team Penske. It's their 60th anniversary. And Roger has a beautiful group of dealerships out in North Scottsdale, and the Penske Racing Museum is there. And tonight, that's where they will celebrate the 60th anniversary of Roger Penske's team.
Yeah, he needs a big turnaround. 31st in points. I like what I'm seeing out of the Cindric car. He needs it.
The big event for all of their IndyCar and NASCAR teams, celebrating a great, rich history.
Still awaiting Group B practice, a little bit of a downtime here. NASCAR sweeping the racetrack up, checking for debris. Remember, there were a couple drivers that had flat tires that were recorded in Group 1 practice. 25 minutes will be on the clock, and then we'll get into single car qualifying at just after 1 p.m. Eastern. All right here on this stream. You won't have to go anywhere. Practice concludes. We'll stay live right here, awaiting the stream start. I don't usually do the diecast showings during Cup practice and qualifying, but I figured, what the heck, we got some down period here in between groups. And this week I wanted to show off another Kevin Harvick diecast. I got a lot of them. Showed off 2 of them between Daytona and Atlanta to start the season. Last week I showed off a Jeff Gordon at Coda. This week I've got a Kevin Harvick for practice and qualifying. This is his Subway Ford Mustang from 2021, specifically the Bristol night race. I was at this race. I didn't mind this scheme. He led a lot of laps and obviously got in an altercation with Chase Elliott when the night was done. So got this diecast, memorable race in recent NASCAR memory, one of the newer diecasts that I have. Considering how late it was in the 2022 season, I still don't have a next-gen diecast that I believe this might actually be the most recent NASCAR diecast that I currently own. But Kevin Harvick is a 9-time Phoenix winner, so I figured I'd show off another Harvick one here today. And I'll have another Harvick diecast, believe it or not, through the O'Reilly race later on as well. So that is a look at this week's diecast showing on practice and qualifying specifically. We'll do a short NASCAR quiz in between practice and qualifying when they get the cars reordered. As far as right now, we're just kind of waiting out the commercial on the full screen side of things. When I do come back this next time, we will have cars on the racetrack for the first time in this 25-minute group. Subway car looks nice. It does. I think the Subway schemes over the years have looked relatively good. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, I apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather this weekend, so if I sound nasally or my throat in certain areas, I have to clear it. I'm going to mute the mic to do that, but there's going to be moments where it maybe sounds a little phlegmed up, so I'm sorry if I sound disgusting throughout the course of today's actions especially. Hopefully over the next few hours, I can kind of treat this a little bit better. I was feeling worse yesterday when I got off of work, so today is a much better day for me, but I'm still kind of congested. Just throwing that out there. Appreciate you all tuning in, and hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel and have not subscribed yet. We were 1 subscriber away from 7,000 when I started this stream today, and as I check right now, we are still just 1 away. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. Let's get to 7,000 like now, if we can. Hit the like button on the stream if you haven't done so yet there as well. 21 likes on the stream so far. Our goal is to get to 50 during practice and qualifying. Mike G, thanks for tuning in as well. Michael Turner, thanks for tuning in. Yes, get well soon to Alex Bowman, out this week with vertigo. Anthony Alfredo in the 48 was 16th in practice of the 19 cars in Group 1. Ryan Blaney, the winner of the fall race last season. Christopher Bell, the spring race winner, both in this Group B session. Green flag is about to be in the air.
Everybody else is doing it in the first group. Now, I always prefer to leave it in fourth gear. Maybe the power change some of that, but we have most of our and some of those guys still leave it in fourth gear. Going down to third is pretty aggressive, from fifth to third. So I always thought that in this car, when we drove the Fords, they were always tight. So you had to downshift to fourth gear to get them to have any chance to turn in the center of the corner.
But to his point, and going back to the horsepower, that's the difference, in my opinion. I mean, you heard him say it. If us just rolling, you just kind of just leaving it in full, especially on a long run, you're getting there faster now, more horsepower.
I'd probably still leave it fourth and let the engine shop yell at me.
Oh, and then you're going to yell at them when the thing blows
Exactly.
up. Whose fault is it going to be?
It's going to be theirs.
I remember a conversation with, I think it was Lou LaRosa, was an engine builder for Childress. And he says, yep, it's one of two things at the end of the race. It's either we won or your engine blew.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you saw Joe Legato there on pit road. He's checking his pit road speed. Tricky pit road.
Mr. Three-Peat, Tyler Reddick.
Yeah,
That's what nobody's done. Winning the first 3 races of a NASCAR Cup season. Never happened. Now it has.
and you see the back of that car bottoming out as he goes through the dog leg right there.
When he
On the
cut that off,
backstretch.
it sure did. I'll tell you what you see. You know what you get after a 3-peat? I think I want my name on the side of that thing a little bit more. Pretty good looking hot rod.
Got to be really careful with the back of these cars with that diffuser and everything in the back. You want to keep those strakes as long as you can. That's what makes all the downforce on these cars out the back. So you want the car. Everything is such a balancing act in trying to get the car as low as possible, the air pressure as low as possible. You see the back of this car bottom out right here. It's just I always wanted to be as tolerant as possible for the car bottoming out, because the lower it is, the more grip the thing.
But what's the dust? What is that little smoke that came out of the back of that thing?
Yeah, most likely that's going to be the carbon fiber, but it's also going to be a little bit of the rubber rip the asphalt. So. See Tyler right there, way at the racetrack, not where he wants to be. Sometimes these cars can take a little bit to really get the front tires working in order to get the car turning through the middle of the corner. When those tires are low, like they all want run them, makes it really difficult to turn.
You know, when you're watching these cars go around the racetrack and you hear Kevin talking about the importance of the back of that car, those streaks, not rubbing that off, you have to remember, and it's hard to see this, 65% of the downforce is underneath the race car. Over half is made underneath that one race car, not going over it like a inches past that we've sold over to you.
And the proof of that was Reddick's win at Atlanta without right foot bending. No matter. That had a lot of people shaking their heads. Let's take a ride with Joey.
Absolutely. Let's start finish line right there. Up to fifth gear. Now shift in with fourth. See, I have to make a little correction. A lot of little bumps going into turn 3 that you have to kind of manage and modulate the brake pressure to get over those bumps so that the car doesn't step out or just miss the bottom of the corner. You see Joey's car through the middle of the corner right there. Never really having to turn back to your right until it gets to that transition from the center of the corner. Really big deal in these cars and trying to anticipate when you go back to the right and going back to that throttle so that you load that right rear tire in the back of the car correctly. You see the over rotation that he has from tight through the center of the corner. You'll see it again right here through the center of 1 and 2. But this transition, when he goes, you got to go back to the right in order. That was a better lap for him right there when he transitioned back to the right to get the car loaded up for the exit of the corner, and it did snap the wheel.
All right, let's go on board Denny Hamlin and compare and contrast him with Joey's run.
And he's already much more aggressive back to the gas. So a couple different styles here. You can let it roll through the center of the corner. That's the strategy I prefer, not upshifting to let it in gear. The car will turn better, it'll brake better, everything better into turn 3. See him adjusting his brake knob right there. Quick downshift for Denny, not wasting any time getting that downshift. Not quite as aggressive back to the gas right there. So we expect this car to be a player as we go through time. The other thing that rev limiter does on the back straightaway is it keeps you from overdriving the entry of the car.
Boy, it's got to be sore getting out on this racetrack. I mean, if there was ever one taken from anybody, it was a tough one to watch last year, going for that championship with this driver and everything that it man and that man right there going for their first championship together after all these years. They were so close. Led 2/3 of laps, was in the chase all day, was leading at the right times. And then, this guy, William Byron, blew a tire, set up that last caution, and we all know the outcome.
Opened up that strategy window.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
you know, as that can be the hard part about leading these races and dominating those races. You get so confident in your strategies. You see that right front, Denny coming out of the pits. I think it was 11th.
Yes.
Ninth
on the restart.
9th on the restart, and he just wasn't able to get through traffic and take advantage of those tires with the amount of laps that were left. But devastating moment for the day that they had to not win that race and the championship.
Redemption time.
Got to have a short memory.
All right, so the Group 2 drivers in white, the Group 1 drivers in gray, difference about a tenth of a second or so.
Cleaner racetrack for Group A practice. Usually on the ovals last season, we saw Group A faster in faster in practice, but as you get into qualifying, you want to go a little bit later in the run. That could be dependent on the time of day as well, as we're early in Phoenix, Arizona, 9 a.m. local start. That's going to lead for cooler track temps. They're going to continue to rise throughout the session, and as we get into qualifying, they're going to rise as well. So although it's noon Eastern time, it is 9 a.m. local. Last week it was 9 a.m. local for practice and qualifying out in Coda in Central Time, Austin, Texas. Sue Brown, thanks for tuning in also. Tyler Reddick, his name, three-peat. Most of our wins coming soon. We'll see. We'll see. Yes, get to see the chair again. If I get up at all during the course of either of today's streams and maybe even tomorrow as well, it is simply to cough away from screen and go blow my nose because I'm a little bit under the weather today, so I apologize for that. But, you know, it happens. It happens. I knew it was coming. Based off the determining factors and how I got sick, I was hanging out with, I was around people who were sick earlier in the week, and I'm like, yep, it's going to catch me, ain't it? And it didn't catch me until probably Thursday night. Then I felt the wrath of it yesterday. Better today, but definitely not 100%. Good enough to do the stream. Awake enough. My sleep was not great last night. A lot of tossing and turning. That's the thing. I mean, with sinus congestion, it's so bad when I lay down. When I'm standing up, my sinuses are a lot better. But when I'm laying down, I just feel like it's so heavy on my head. Then I get a headache. Made it kind of hard to sleep at times last night. But adrenaline or not, we are here. Group 2 practice continues.
Come back to Group 2 Cup practice. Here's the fastest car, Ty Gibbs. And coming into this fourth race of the season and off his finish at Kona, fourth place, he is the highest Gibbs driver in the points coming to race 4.
Which, believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying this, not even in the top 16 playoff.
And I
That'll change after this weekend.
I think that the 54 car, I mean, it's shown a lot of speed, and then now it's just for this team, it's just about putting the whole day together to put themselves in position to run through the whole day and win a race like your teammates have, right?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. So see Ty moving around the racetrack last lap, he was down on the apron. We saw him right here in 3 and 4, just getting a little too much apron right there, and that could be detrimental. We've seen makes him lose, but we've seen some of those guys crash in qualifying when they hit that apron like that. But you got to have that left front tire right rubbing that apron in order to get that car to really bring around the bottom in 3 and 4. Larry?
Yeah, Kevin, they've been working with Ty on where to run the race car. They were telling him his teammate Jimmy Hamlin is running much slower than 1 and 2. They asked him to go down there and try to run right on that white or yellow line.
Ryan Blaney won here last fall. And if he's not in your fantasy picks this week, get out the eraser, because Blaney has 5 top 2 finishes in his last 7 races here. He's not a lock, but coming into Phoenix, pretty close.
Yeah, and I feel like this is just such an open weekend. Blaney's done a good job on the long runs, no matter how we raced, where we raced, when we raced. We see him up the racetrack on those things, just trying to get some data from the driver's standpoint, what the car does, to have those options. You got to be versatile. You're going to hear me talk about it a lot today and tomorrow, but you got to be able to run the apron with the left front right there, run the yellow line, right side's on the yellow line, up the racetrack. And this car has been notoriously good through the center third of the corner, anywhere we go.
And I feel like he's able to drive a neutral race car than a lot of these guys in the racetrack today. And that makes him versatile. He can move around. He can make time in the center of the corner. While everybody's waiting on the car and rotating, it's tight. He's back on the throttle and got to pass a lot more cars than normal.
Get last trouble 3, and I try not to help. Washing out.
Right front end of
Yeah, that's his teammate, Chris Buescher.
And that car's been struggling. Brad's 34th on the board. And like you said, his teammate. So definitely a common denominator when it comes to right front tires in the team. That car's hit the ball pretty good, Clint.
Here's a look at it. There it goes. You can see it headed north. Wrong direction. Tires down. It's on the splitter. You're on the brakes, and it's like a ski. Long for the ride at that point. See him locking it up. It just won't stop. Again, I think it could have been worse, but yes, a hard hit. Be interesting to see if we can repair that car, if that's a backup.
And don't forget, Brad's still recouping from that broken femur in the off season.
And that's not easy. That's that right leg leaning into that right side. That hurts.
All right, we'll ride along if we break.
Oh.
That.
It's kind of funny. We get a Brad Keselowski commercial immediately after he crashes. Daniel Suarez, fastest in practice. That's not going to change. We've had a decent amount of laps. You can't change tires in this session. You're on one set. So with this caution coming out, no chance to change anything there. Our overall leaderboard is pretty much going to stay the same, with Suarez being that top time, 26.877. His teammate Carson Hocevar in second. The top 5 times all from Group 1. Ty Gibbs actually the fastest in Group 2 practice. Ryan Blaney the second quickest also in this group. Christopher Bell third. Tyler Reddick fourth. Michael McDowell fifth. So 6th through 10th, all Group 2. Group 1 was the 1st through 5 drivers. It's going to be tough to gauge the lap averages with this caution for Group 2, because there weren't many teams that made a 15 to 20 lap consecutive run before the caution flag came out. Ryan Blaney does have the fastest 15 and 20 lap averages in Group 2, only behind his teammate Austin Cindric from Group 1 in both of those categories. Racetrack was just faster when it was much greener at the beginning of that session versus this one. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward as a Ryan Blaney fan to him competing for the win this weekend. We've seen quite a bit of tire fall off as well, which I think aided him to running even better in the fall last year than what he did ever at Phoenix before. This is a track that has eluded him. He's always ran very well, leads a lot of laps, hasn't been able to win until the fall race, the season finale in 2025. He was able to get the race win. Mike Joy already mentioned that he had 5 top 2 finishes in the last 7 races at Phoenix, 4 runner-ups in the last 6 before last year he finally got through to victory lane. Christopher Bell has won the last 2 spring races at Phoenix. And with Denny Hamlin leading all the laps he did in the fall, I'd say it's going to be a Penske versus Joe Gibbs Racing showdown tomorrow, if I had to guess. Alicia Bremer, thanks for tuning in. Who's going to win the poll? That's a good question. I'll ask you guys in the chat who you think is going to win. Let me get the chat poll up and going. Still in practice right now. Most likely to qualify on pole. And I am going to throw Christopher Bell, who's won a lot of races here in recent years. Denny Hamlin had the pole for the fall race, so we'll go Denny Hamlin. And I'll throw Ryan Blaney, the full race winner. So these are the guys who kind of dominated the 2 races, at Phoenix last year. If you think somebody other than Bell, Hamlin, or Blaney will get the pole, obviously vote for other. That's kind of where we're at there. Wade, thanks for tuning in. Patrick Shadley, good morning to you as well. Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. West Coast, out in Phoenix, Arizona, still morning time. So we were under caution for Brad Keselowski having right front tire failure. Same tire that was flat on his teammate Chris Buescher in Group 1 practice. Happens to Keselowski in Group 2. Got about 9.5 minutes to go yet. Spotting Chase Elliott right now on camera. We get an interview with Keselowski. You'll get to listen into that. I definitely don't think that Brad's going to be able to participate in qualifying, so he'll be starting deep in the field tomorrow. Keselowski, a runner-up at Phoenix last fall, to that of Blaney. But his job's going to be pretty hard tomorrow. 76 behind me in the league. Just checked. Hey, let's check it right now while we've got a chance before qualifying begins. If you're not in the KRC League, that is our NASCAR Fantasy League. It is on the NASCAR.com website or NASCAR mobile app. Chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season. If you win our regular season or Chase Championship. KRC League, again, in all capital letters on KRC, space, capital L on League. I just put the league name in the chat. This is NASCAR.com. Go to the Fantasy tab. It'll be Fantasy Live. And it'll show my team from last week. The new head-to-head matchups this week are Reddick versus Larson, Blaney versus Bell, Chastain versus Buescher, and Hamlin versus Logano. So that is, again, the head-to-head for this week. And as for the league, Hercules Harrigan on top with 611 points right now. Track Squirtle in second with 579. A tie for second with beautiful 97. Troy the Great at 574 in fourth. And Freaky Fast 4 in fifth with 573. Long ways to go. Only 3 races into the 26 race regular season. I'm at 481 in 21st. Here's Brad Keselowski with Larry McReynolds following his crash.
Yeah. No, it's really surprising, Larry. We saw Chris had issues and pumped it up with a bunch more air to make sure we wouldn't. And, even trying to go slow for a few laps to build some air and not abuse it. Not sure why it would blow. But Yeah, I'm pretty certain. I mean, their NASCAR is kind of gone through it all now, but the front clip's bent on the steering shaft, so most likely yes.
Mike, that's a story from down here in the garage here, buddy.
Boy, he impressed me last week. He really gutted it out because, driving while you're recovering from an injury at a track where you have 22 shifts per lap, turning left and right, and he gutted it out, got a great finish.
Definitely the test of all tests right there.
Yeah, 21st place finish last week for Brad Keselowski. At the beginning portion of that race, he was running outside the top 30. But was able to salvage a halfway decent day by the end of it. Obviously, road course is not the prowess of Brad Keselowski, especially in the next-gen era, but got it out a pretty decent performance nonetheless. 6.5 minutes left in Group 2 practice. We'll take a look at the point standings coming into this weekend. All Tyler Reddick so far, winning the first 3 races of the 2026 season. He also has the most laps led at 112, so it is utter domination from the driver atop the standings. His teammate Bubba Wallace still in second. They were first and second in points after the first week, and Wallace survives the road course, still second in the standings. Though because of those 3 wins by Reddick and the astronomical amount of points it is between first and second in the finishing order, Reddick has a gigantic lead. 70 points. He's over one race ahead of second in points, and that's just off of the first few races of the season, just 3 races in, which also goes to show if somebody is able to string off 3 wins in a row and they're 70, 80 points back, they are very much still in it, no matter where that driver ahead ends up finishing. Obviously, if they have a poor finish on top of it, that only makes things even easier for them. But for the race for that regular season championship right now, to start off at 2,100 points in the chase, again, Tyler Reddick having the lead from the get-go. We'll see if he can go 4 for 4 this weekend. Right now, Reddick is 9th in practice overall. 21 stage points for Reddick. He didn't really score any last week. I think he only had 4 stage points in stage 2. Sacrificed the stage points in those first 2 stages. Still got 7th place stage points in stage 2 because he had such a big lead in that second stage. And there were also a lot more cars that pitted in stage 2 versus stage 1 when trying to flip it under green late. Bubba Wallace with 34 stage points, tied for the most this year with Ryan Blaney. That's why they're 2nd and 4th in points. Right now, Chase Elliott's sitting 3rd after the first 3 races. Mr. Consistency himself for most of last year. With 2 race wins on the season, he was able to pretty much run top 3 in the regular season standings all the way through the regular season. Only had 1 win in the regular season through most of that. Shane Van Gisbergen, 1 road course race. He stayed out, he got a bunch of stage points, and was able to get a couple of great points late as he got the top 5 runner-up 2nd place finish. So he's 5th in points, and he also had a top 5 at Atlanta the week before that. 6th. He was 6th at Atlanta the week before that. So he had his best oval finish, and then he gets a runner-up last week at COTA. He is very much in it. If he would have won that race because of the points between 1st and 2nd, he would actually be 1 point behind Wallace in 3rd in the standings. So him not getting that win, it could be crucial when we get down to the end of the regular season. We do have 2 less road course races on the schedule this year, from 6 down to 4 this year, and from the 5 that were in the regular season last year, 4 this season. We'll see how SVG does on the ovals. Joey Logano 6th in points, Daniel Suarez in 7th. He's fastest in practice right now. Good start to the season for Suarez. And AJ Allmendinger 8th, Michael McDowell 9th, Carson Hocevar 10th. So all 3 Spire Chevys in the top 10 in points. We've got a spin. Tyler Reddick turns 1 and 2. And I think he might have been trying to practice a pit road entry there and carried too much speed and looped it around as he now backs it onto pit road. And I'm not sure if we're still green or not. Reddick out of the way. He's got a little bit of damage on the right rear corner panel. Wonder if he got a piece of the wall first.
Right here.
I watched him even before they skipped really loose. Cross that apron.
No, he didn't didn't hit the wall.
Lost it.
Of him.
Too deep on corner entry, and it turns 1 and 2. Had the left sides down on the apron. Car was unsettled. Slipped from the apron to the slight banking in 1 and 2. A relatively flat track, but there is a bit of a transition between the apron. The racetrack. Car got light, and out from underneath Reddick he goes for a spin. Didn't hit anything. Looked like he had a minor scuff on the right rear corner panel. That must have been earlier in the run. And no tires looked to be down. That was all on his own. And it did not look like a pit road entry. It just so happened that he had spun near that area of the racetrack. Again, Tyler Reddick, 9th in practice overall right now as a result of that spin. almost through with Group 2 practice. It got elongated a bit because of the Brad Keselowski caution that the officials in NASCAR has given this group about another 3 to 5 minutes of practice added on to the original time because of the caution period. As Brad had that flat right front tire, pounded the wall. You heard from him moments ago. He will not be participating in qualifying. We'll take our first break of the stream. You're listening live on KRC as our full coverage of practice and qualifying continues. Austin Sullivan, thanks for tuning in. Great to tune in to Phoenix. And that the track will not be hosting the championship races here. Nope, championship back at Homestead in the fall. Get the point standings off the screen and go back to the other standings. And again, we'll do some NASCAR Sporkle Phoenix trivia in between practice and qualifying. Only going to have a couple minutes left in the session after the Tyler Reddick spin, so you can probably get this quiz underway right now. Let's do spring race top 10 finishers. 10-minute quiz from 2005 to 2018. I think this is a short enough one for us. We got about 30 seconds left in practice. That's just wrapping up. We'll go through the practice results first, and then we'll start the quiz and get into qualifying. So qualifying will be single car. All on this stream. We'll have a bit of a break period, 10 to 15 minutes between practice and qualifying, so we'll try to bypass that with the quiz. Daniel Suarez, fastest in practice overall. Carson Hocevar, second. Chase Briscoe, third. Ross Chastain, fourth. Austin Cindric in fifth. Ty Gibbs, who was the fastest in Group 2 overall practice. Ryan Blaney, fastest in the long run lap averages, is seventh. Christopher Bell at 8th. Tyler Reddick, 9th. And Michael McDowell rounds out the top 10. Chris Buescher in 11th, had a flat right front tire. I still believe he will be in qualifying, though. Not really much damage on the 17 Ford. Connor Zilic, 12th. Eric Jones, 13th. Chase Elliott, 14th. Denny Hamlin, 15th. Bubba Wallace, 16th. Kyle Busch in 17th. Kyle Larson, 18th. 19th, Joey Logano. Cody Ware, 20th. And William Byron, 21st. Austin Dillon, 22nd. Todd Gilliland, 23rd. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 24th. Zane Smith, 25th. Riley Herbst, 26th. Ryan Preece, 27th. Austin Hill, 28th. Anthony Alfredo, 29th. Ty Dillon, 30th. Shane Van Gisbergen, 31st. AJ Allmendinger, 32nd. Josh Berry, 33rd. Brad Keselowski, 34th. He had to crash that flat right front tire after 22 laps into the session. And he will not be participating in qualifying because of that crash. John Hunter Nemechek, 35th. Noah Gragson, 36th. Cole Custer, 37th. 37 car field only open entry was at number 33 RCR, driven by Austin Hill this weekend. So that is your practice results. And again, we will get into trivia, and then we will have qualifying soon after that. So today's trivia: spring race top 10 finishers from 2005 to 2018. Let's do it. The winners first. Start off Kevin Harvick. I don't like that this website is already slow right off the rip. Carl Edwards. Jeff Gordon. Jimmy Johnson. Tony Stewart win a spring race here? No, he did not. Mark Martin, I know, did. 2009. Dale Jr. won a fall race, but put him in there anyway. Ryan Newman, spring race winner of 2017. Matt Kenseth? Nope, that was in the fall. 2012 spring winner. You know what? Greg Biffle had some good runs here, but he is not on the list. Well, he's on the list, but not as a winner. Be more specific with that. 2005. Denny Hamlin, 2012 winner. Why can't I remember who won that 2005 race? Casey Kane? I know Brian Vickers didn't win it. But, you know, put him on the list. Just thinking of Hendrick drivers. I think I've got all the Hendrick winners. I got to be thinking elsewhere. Chad Stewart, Hamlin. It's past Labonte's time. But I'll put him on here anyway. Because Bobby Labonte did get some top 10s. Oh, Busch, yes. Kyle Busch. Kurt Busch, sorry. Kurt Busch won. But we got Kurt and Kyle Busch on the list. Busch, a fall race winner, of course. All right. Michael Waltrip, runner-up in 2005. Wow. Larson. Austin Dillon on here. AJ Allmendinger. Logano. Keselowski. Blaney. Chase Elliott. Casey Mears not on the list. Paul Menard on here at all? Nope. I know Clint Boyer is going to be on here. Boyer. Dale Jarrett. Or Ricky Rudd. Tried Eric Jones. Jones is on the list. Suarez is on here. Got 120 of 140 already. 640 to go. Truex. He's on here 5 times. Martin Truex Jr. Got a lot of pop-up ads. Wonder this website was running a bit slow. All right, runner-up 2015. Almirola's on the list. Danica is not. Well, there's quite a few from 2005 yet. Trevor Bayne, David Reagan, David Gilliland, Scott Riggs. Wow. Montoya is on here. Ambrose is not. John Andretti is not. Try. No. Oh, Jamie McMurray. McMurray's on the list. We got 11 more drivers. Less than 5 minutes to go. Top 10 in the Phoenix Spring Race. Got a 4th place in 2017. No Busher. Sterling Marlin on here at all? No. I do have Jimmy Johnson. Sorensen. JJ Yaley. Regan Smith on here at all? Nope. Hornish? Sam Hornish is on here in 09. Ah, Burton, yes. Jeff Burton's on here 4 times. Wonder if there's any active drivers that I'm missing. They have to have been around 2017 and prior. 2017. Oh, not him. Got 40 people in the chat. Thank you, everybody tuning in to Benedetto. No, there's no way. Yeah, I didn't think that was him in 2017. That would have been BK. Oh, Alex Bowman. Oh, that was the fall race. He had the top 10. I was going to say, filled in for Dale Jr. That would have been 2016 also. So we got 6 more. Got 2 of them in 05, 2 in 07, 1 in 2009. I do have Mark Martin already. Who am I missing? All right, let's think NASCAR 06 video game. NASCAR. Well, I never played NASCAR 09. Right, 06. 2005 season. Who have I missed? Why do I feel like, I mean, Johnny Benson, probably not this time period. No, he was, Joe Nemechek? Okay, Joe Nemechek's on here. About, no. I did try Menard already. He's not on the list. No top 10s for Menard at Phoenix. That's 6 left. Qualifying is going to be beginning very shortly. We have 1 minute left on the quiz. 1 minute. And then we'll get into qualifying coverage. I don't know who we're missing here. My mind is just drawing blanks right now. Oh, Johnny Sauter's on here twice. I looked at my diecast to get that. Jeff Green's on here. Okay, we might get a late poll. We got 2 left. Jeff Green, Johnny Sauter got our 07s and 05s. Keep looking at the diecast, Keegan. That might have been it. I think that was the last of the diecast I can look at. I'm on my own now. Yeah, I'm on my own. I do have Newman. We're going to be 2 away. David Rudiman in 2009. He had a great season that year. Really? 09 through 11. He just had a great car tomorrow Cup career. Stenhouse in 2017. It was an active driver. See, I thought I got them all already. I did not. I skipped Stenhouse. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 4th in 2017. David Rudiman, 8th in 2009. Those were the only 2 we missed. 99% of the quiz was complete, a 138 out of 140. 74% was the average score, so we did get above average, keeping that streak alive. And now into our qualifying coverage. Anthony Alfredo will be the first to qualify. Filling in for the injured Alex Bowman. Not really injured, but more out for sickness. Vertigo pulled Bowman out of his ride last week mid-race at COTA. Was filled in by on-stand driver Mike Snyder. Had a good opportunity to finish out the winning laps of last week's race. This week, Anthony Alfredo will start the race, so Alex Bowman will not get points. He was medically cleared, unable to participate earlier in the week because of vertigo. So get well soon to Alex Bowman, and hopefully we'll see him back. Tough break, too. Home track for him. Many weeks to be missing. Stake to miss this one already in an early season points deficit. Not going to help him miss an entire race as well. Eric Jones is now on track in the 43 for Legacy Motor Club. He'll time in at a 27.094. Anthony Alfredo put down a 27.088 on his qualifying lap. So Alfredo actually the fastest of our first two qualifiers. Chase Briscoe very, very early to go out in qualifying. Usually a guy who would compete for a front row starting spot. This year, maybe not going to be the case. Briscoe, a former Phoenix winner, he won the 2022 spring event. Last year, though, not good at Phoenix in both of his starts with JGR, 35th and 18th in those two races. We'll see what Chase Briscoe's got. Should be the fastest of these first three. I'd be shocked if he isn't. 37 drivers on the entry list this weekend. 36 will participate in qualifying. Brad Keselowski crashed out of practice with a flat right front tire if you're just tuning in for the first time. Irena Sarah Hunter, thanks for playing along. Frank Powers as well. A little chat quiz. Frank Powers. Many others who I may not have shouted out yet today. Appreciate you tuning in. Briscoe, 26.897. First of three for Briscoe. On to Austin Cindric, who had the fastest long run pace in the lap averages in practice from Group 1. Beat out by his teammate Ryan Blaney, who was in Group 2. As for Cindric, best finish at Phoenix 11th in the fall race of 2022. No top 10s in his 8 career starts here prior to this weekend.
The corner good. Coming to the green.
The ghost car Briscoe at the top of your screen. He's fastest.
And you can see how Briscoe missed and drove it up the racetrack versus the two that wrapped the ball.
And Briscoe actually did a good job of not losing more lap time than what he did. So Cindric missed the bottom thing right there.
Watch this.
Austin Cindric qualified 4th here last fall. He is fastest, 26.731.
Time will tell.
That's a little over 2.5 tenths for Austin from his lap time in practice. I think that's going to be about what it probably needs to be for the guys at the top of the board, but got to find a little more if you want up on that time sheet.
Well, especially if you tell me the car's going to pick up just because of the rubber being picked up.
Tiffany Ware finished a Phoenix best 24th in this race last year. His best result at this track. Rick Ware Racing. Remember, they have switched from Fords to Chevrolet this year. Company has been 27.182.
Yeah, you see these speeds right now. We're about 2 tenths faster than the pole speeds were last year. So you can see that power, more horsepower, and the things that they've done with the car. A little bit faster speed.
Yeah, that more horsepower on the road courses and short track side of things. Remember, the horsepower has now been bumped up to 750 from about 675 on the intermediate tracks to the short tracks. So 26.731, a very fast lap for Austin Cindric. Set the fastest time a couple runs ago. Cody Ware, 27.182, bottom of our 5 qualifiers. Ross Chastain now on the racetrack, former Phoenix winner, also in the Next Gen era, as he won the season finale back in 2023. Only 5 stage points combined in the last 4 races here, with no top 10s in that stretch for Chastain. So since that win, he has not had a top 10 finish. We'll see if he can go back to having a good run tomorrow. Very loose in turns 3 and 4 in qualifying as he tries to keep the car pinned down to the bottom of the track. It'll be second quickest early in qualifying for Chastain, 26.757. Loose is fast if he can hang on to it. He held on to it enough for a decent run. We'll see how that holds with a lot of guys still to qualify. Only 6 cars in thus far. Austin Hill in the 33 is up for Richard Childress Racing. First start in the Cup Series of 2026. Off to a good start in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series season points after winning the opener at Daytona. Scored a lot of stage points battling for the win at Atlanta the following week. And pretty good performance all around last week at COTA as well. He's just inside the top 30 in practice overall, so we'll see what he does for qualifying. Quite a few drivers taking that cut through the dog leg on the apron on their 1 qualifying lap. Just 1 lap apiece. Track's 1 mile and bigger in length. It's only 1 lap. And again, this is 1 round of single car qualifying. Fourth out of the first 7 for Austin Hill, 26.959. Not a track that RCR has had a great run of things when it comes to the Next Gen era at Phoenix. So Kyle Busch did finish 5th in the fall race on that pit strategy with the late caution last fall. Finish out the year on a top 5. Maybe the team can build off of that and have a decent performance this weekend. On to Cole Custer in the 41 in the Haas Automation Chevrolet.
He has 8 Cup starts here. He's finished up 9th.
I never liked the strategy. See that car get loose up off the corner for Cole. You can just see how Austin gets all the way out to the wall and has his angle, and he's using more racetrack to get the car turned in the corner, but Cole having a lot of trouble right there.
Yeah, support the mission. Boy, we talked about how those Penske cars just wrap the bottom and hook that line. Picking the track, I think, was the verb we invented for that style of driving.
Yeah, well, I think the whole Ford camp, we worked a lot, really all the way back to when we started at Stewart Haas to get those techniques and to get the brake pads right, to get the car handling in the right racetrack, and they've just taken it to another level and really capitalized on it at this racetrack for several years.
Custer's lap 27.516. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished 17th here last November. That's his best finish in his last 9 starts here.
See Ricky kind of take his time, getting the tires on right there, back the corner up, taking that late apex strategy to get the line down front straight away. He got loose as well up off the turn 4 right there. See what he does. Get into turn 1 right here. Just not all the way out to the wall. And that would be exactly what I'd be telling if it were my drivers watching right now. If you're going to use the apron, you got to get the car back out to the wall to get the angle correct getting into 1.
And you don't have to look any more than that ghost car right there is Cindric. He got more of a number, came in the corner. He actually got in the corner deeper than about anybody out here, but made the bottom of the track. But to your point, it was able to wrap the middle because of his arc into the corner.
Stenhouse is 6.899. Somebody said on a podcast this week, it's time to get on the Zane train. Here's Zane Smith. 2 top 10s this season, and he finished a Phoenix best 9th in this race last year. Yes, that's SpongeBob and Patrick on that.
Zane's a great guy, very talented behind the wheel. Doesn't surprise me the least, and he's finding some success of speed, getting comfortable, confident in his cars.
He got right out there to the wall.
Yeah, but he never got it to the bottom.
Oh, there's your ghost car up and right. That's a different view.
He was able to get off the corner better than he probably should have. Turned in a little sooner right here. We saw Austin go up the racetrack, so he's able to stay down the racetrack. Does a pretty good job, but just missed the bottom in turn one.
He is fifth with a 20.
Fifth for Zane Smith with a 26.906. Stenhouse right in front of him with a 26.899, still in fourth. And before that was Cole Custer, 27.516 last for Custer. He was last of 37 cars in practice. We'll see how qualifying goes for him as well. Regan Smith is caught up with Connor Zilich on pit road.
Ross Chastain second on the board. You were watching your iPad pretty intently. What were you looking for there to prepare yourself for your lap, and did you learn anything?
Yeah, just to see, what guys are doing. There's a lot of ways to slice 1 and 2. A lot of different lines you can run and how deep you get into the corner. So just trying to see what's working best right now. Our Wendy's Chevrolet was good in practice, so hopefully that puts up and we can get a good lap for qualifying.
Right, Larry, he was 12th on the board.
Well, Regan, I'm here with Joey Logano. Joey, 19th.
Here's Logano with Larry Reynolds.
You never know until you get out there. I did feel really good about our show Penzo Mustang. It had really good long run speed, so I felt good about that part. Short run. I mean, you go out there and it's the track's kind of dirty for the second run, so it's hard to say what you're going to have for speed. But got confidence in Paul and those guys that we'll get this ride. It's a cool looking ride too, by the way. We got the Scott McLaughlin Bathurst 1000 throwback scheme, so it looks really neat to try to pay a little tribute to the 60th anniversary.
Like he's a full-time winner here in this Gen 7 car.
Looks a lot like that Australian supercar, does it not? And carrying McLaughlin's paint.
Yeah, I like that paint scheme. The red and white Pennzoil number 22 Ford Mustang for this weekend. Penske driving Chevy, of course, an IndyCar, which will be coming up next. That will be on your local Fox affiliate is where you can watch the IndyCar race. I'll be watching that from the comfort of my own seat, bringing you coverage of the O'Reilly race later tonight, per usual. We'll be live for the O'Reilly race at 7:30 p.m. Eastern today, and we'll be live for the pre-race of our NASCAR Cup race tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on the channel. James Phillips, thanks for tuning in. Who was fastest in practice? Daniel Suarez was fastest overall. Ty Gibbs fastest in Group 2. 10 drivers into qualifying, 26 to go. Josh Berry is up next. You're listening live on KRC as our full coverage of qualifying and practice continues. Josh Berry finished 4th in the spring race last season, also finished 7th in the fall race of last year. 2 top 10 runs, a top 5 at that, but he was outside the top 30 in practice overall today, so we'll see what Josh Berry can do for his time trial session run. Went to the apron trying to cut that dog leg down. Fed it out to the wall. Still got the car to the bottom of the track in turns 1 and 2. Cindric overall just a bit quicker on that end. Fox showing the ghost car graphic. I guess Prime Video. Fox broadcasters, but Prime Video is where you can watch visually for practice and qualifying today. Good lap by Berry, but not the fastest. 3rd quickest for Josh, 26.814. And on to Carson Hocevar, who was 2nd fastest in practice earlier today.
They're able to rebound, and we saw it with Tyler Reddick. So we can't just say it was Fords. We saw it with the Toyotas last week. So you just never know in these qualifying sessions.
All right, guys.
Here's the pick. Here's Clint's pick for the pole, the Hurricane. Carson Hocevar, 10th in points. Finished 15th here in March 2024. His best finish at this track. Spire cars all unloaded off the truck in practice really fast.
You hear how early he went off the corner. He's really taking the back up turn 3 coming to the green to a different level. We'll see if that pays off for him as we get into turn 1.
Yeah, and look at the difference it makes. Do not overdrive the car. A little bit of discipline here. Great job. Get it blowed up. Don't get to the gas too quick.
Yeah, and he was a little shallow getting into turn 1. Kind of as you get past the center of the corner,
We're still in it. Austin, you remember he left a little bit on the table down here. Back to the throttle. It's closed. Had to lift at the wall. 3rd by 2 100s. 26.758. Hocevar started top 10 in both races here last year. You put him up front. He's kind of some feathers, and I'm here for it. Todd Gilliland finished 17th in this race the last 2 years. That's where he finished last week at Boston after a decent start to the season at Daytona. Front row.
Todd, he was in the corner hard, left it in fourth gear, and I like that strategy. We see a lot of cars loose, real late off of turn 4 coming to the green.
Just trying to be aggressive, right? I mean, you're a qualifying lap and things starts to slip, but you can't afford to let out of that gas.
But you see what you pay for when you're sliding up off of turn 4. It just hurts the whole straightaway speed after you take the green, and you just never make it up.
Gains a bit on entry here, but looks loose down here as well. And Gilliland will be 9th with a 27.041.
Car just never looked
27.041 for Gilliland, 9th place, as Mike Joy just stated on the broadcast. Carson Hocevar was 3rd, the driver before him, and dropped down to 26.758. On to Riley Herbst in the 35. He had a flat left rear tire in his practice session a little bit ago. Got a piece of the wall with the right rear corner panel, but nothing major to knock him out of a chance to go out here and qualify the race car. You can see the scuff marks on that right rear corner panel where the contact was made. And that was down in turns 1 and 2, where the car had gotten really sideways. Good enough save to keep from completely wrecking it. Where Brad Keselowski had his flat right front tire, it was in the middle of turns 3 and 4 and no time to miss, and goes from the middle of the track hard into the wall, right front first. So he's taken out of it. Good coming to the green by Herbst. Did a great job getting off of turn 4. And he's got a pretty decent lap going right now. He's right around where fellow Toyota driver Chase Briscoe was early in the run. Briscoe currently 5th. And it looks like Herbst 2 spots behind that in 7th. 26.902 for Riley Herbst. Austin Dillon in the number 3 for Richard Childress Racing is next. He was 10th in Group 1 practice. Overall outside the top 10. As for Dillon at Phoenix, his best finish here was in the fall of 2018 where he finished 8th. No top 10s in his last 14 starts since. Again, not a good track for RCR in the next-gen era specifically. Outside of Busch's 5th place finish here last year, that's their only top 10 in the next-gen era collectively at Phoenix. Tyler Reddick didn't even get him one in the 8 car either. They're good on the flat oval at Richmond. That is very low grip, but with the high tire wear, maybe Austin Dillon could get a better run here this weekend. We've seen a decent amount of fall off from practice, and obviously he's great at Richmond Raceway. Won the last 2 races there. Qualifying, he's going to be 9th right now. Kind of middle of the road of those who have gone. 26.948 for Dillon. Noah Gragson in the 4 car will be next. After Gragson will be Buescher, then Suarez, Zilich, and John Hunter Nemechek. Gragson will be the last of the 3 front row motorsport Fords to make a lap. His teammates are currently in 8th and 11th. As for Gragson, he's finished 12th 2 different times at Phoenix. He'll be making his 5th start at the racetrack this weekend. So still looking for a top 10, but he's had a couple of decent runs. He's in the Straight Talk Wireless Ford Mustang paint scheme this week. And Noah Gragson going to wrap up his qualifying lap. And he is going to time in, can't find him. There he is, 15th. With a 27.207. Qualifying has not been great for Gragson this season. He's DQ'd from his lap at Daytona. And not a good lap here on our first non-drafting oval. Of course, a road course at Coda last week. 16 drivers in. Chris Buescher up next. He also had a flat right front tire in practice. Same with his teammate Brad Keselowski, though no contact with the wall. He's going to be able to make a lap. Not sure how much of the underbody he may have hurt. Obviously, not really able to make the major repairs needed. Post-practice into qualifying. We'll see where he'll time. Best career finish for Buescher, second in the 2024 spring event here. And he has 4 straight top 10s before the fall race of last season. Not a bad qualifying effort going for him right now. Should be able to break into the top 10 minus a mistake in 3 and 4. No mistake there. Fifth for Chris Buescher, 26.875. Pretty competent lap for the RFK4. My opinion of road course racing, like it or hate it. I don't mind it. I don't mind road courses in NASCAR. I do think you need the diversity on the schedule. That's why we've always had at least 2. It is a primarily oval-based motorsport. I do think the modern next-gen car, being purpose-built to kind of handle better on the road courses, has deteriorated the racing. Because with the big, bulky stock cars of old on the road courses, I thought they put on a much better show. And some of that also could be the handling, not only by the cars themselves, but the drivers only running a couple of road courses, 2 to 3 every year, mostly 2 up until 2018 with the Roval, and then only 3 a year up until after 2020, and then 2021 on when we've had 6 more. It's kind of put these drivers where they have to get better at them, and the races are pretty controlled. And usually the cream of the crop when it comes to the better road course talent within the Cup Series rises to the occasion more often than not. There's a reason why SVG's won, 6 races in the last year or so. Tyler Reddick has won 4 next-gen road course races. And this is only the 5th season with the next-gen era, so he's already averaging over a win a season, or already averaging a win a season on a road course as well. Some are just taken to this much better than others. So there's not a lot of diversity in the field up at the front because of that on the road courses. And seeing the same guys every week, I think, kind of deters some of the fans' liking of road courses. And SVG, dominating a lot of those races last year, I think had a lot to do with that. But I personally myself don't mind them. I'm all right with having a few on the schedule every year. And diversify the schedule. It's a good chance for these drivers to go out and show that they are real race car drivers and they're not just, an oval-based sport and they don't know how to make right-hand turns, because that would be untrue. Connor Zilch, another one you're going to see on the road courses. Obviously, he had his issues last week, but if he goes incident-free, he had 2 spins last week at the fault of none of his own, he will be one to watch. Zilch just qualified 7th on his lap moments ago, 26.882. Here's Reddick, who won the first 3 races of the season. He's standing with Regan Smith.
What happened in the end practice spin there?
Yeah, just trying to get the balance on our direct ran quite a Camry a little bit closer. Practice those moments where you can kind of learn, explore, take risks that, can alter your day pretty severely in the race. So, let it slide a little too far, but that's okay. Yeah, I rolled it back down pit road, found an opening, and fired up, drove back, and threw stickers on it for qualifying. So,
well, we're really glad that you didn't damage that Jordan number 45. That's a great looking race car, Larry.
You can hear Ryan Blaney. Ryan, good long run speed, but now it's Ryan.
Ryan Blaney now with Larry Mack.
Yeah, it's definitely getting slicker by the minute. So we'll see. But I thought practice went fairly well with our group. This got Tower 4 Mustang, and I thought it had good pace in it. And I feel like we have a little bit of wiggle room to try to get it to drive a little bit better. Overall, good start to the day. Hopefully we can lay a good lap down here. I definitely think added horsepower. You saw a lot of fall off, comers and goers, and so I even think with tomorrow, the track being slicker for the race, I think it's going to be even better racing. So I look forward to that. But overall, good start to the weekend.
Guys, all I can say, everybody keeps giving thumbs up to the more horsepower.
Wow.
Yeah, we're almost there. Great step. Need some more.
Finish it by next
Yeah,
year.
let's get about 150 more.
Denny Hamlin waiting his turn. Joey Logano. That is Connor Zilic, who's just completed his run.
Yeah, he learned a lot on that lap about how hard it is to drive that thing onto the apron. Got a little piece of the wall right there coming to the green. Really easy to do out of turn 4, no harm, no foul right there. But you want to open that wheel as much as you can, and you don't want to lift right there. So definitely not uncommon to hit the wall right there at some point. Everybody probably will.
We continue with John Hunter Nemechek. He'll be the 20th rider. The clocks here. He finished a season best 17th at Kona, a Phoenix best 14th in this race last year, and he's been in the conversation this season.
Yeah, they're doing a nice job. All right, Clint. So he's taking a different strategy compared to Suarez, which I think was the best strategy coming to the green. See how low he goes on the apron. Not quite as low as Austin Dillon, who was probably the lowest.
Very shallow entry into 1.
He carried good speed through 1 and 2. Wrapped the bottom right on the line all the way around. Obviously, didn't quite get where he needed to be against Cindric, but I like to make that corner wraps both ends.
Pretty solid top 10 run for John Hunter Nemechek, 26.858 on his qualifying lap. He was the 20th driver to make a lap. 16 more still to go in single car qualifying. Up next will be Ryan Preece. Brad Keselowski again skipped. Keselowski would have been next, but we're on to Preece instead. After Preece will be then Ty Dillon, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, and AJ Allmendinger. Preece, only one of the 3 RFK Fords to not have a tire issue in his practice session. Yeah, Anthony Alfredo was the first driver out in qualifying. Usually doesn't fare too well, being the first car out on track. 17th for Alfredo out of 21. 22 if you count Keselowski because he's not going to make a lap. Good lap for Ryan Preece to jump up into the top 10. 26.837. 6th for Preece. Cindric's fast lap to beat right now. He was the 5th driver to make a qualifying lap, and his time still holds after 22. 26.731 with 134.675 miles per hour. I got to looking to see what the track record is at Phoenix because of the added horsepower. I'm like, oh, I just wonder what it is. Well, it's the fastest next-gen lap time that we've seen in qualifying so far. Put down by Cindric. It is well off of the track record. That track record is held by Jimmy Johnson. A 25.1. 25.147. So that is nowhere near in play here today. 2.5 off of that pace. That was back when they had 900 horsepower in the engines. So running at 750, not really possible. Maybe someday we'll get back to there. Maybe. Ty Dillon in the 10 car. Pretty good showing with the option versus prime tire race in the spring event of last season. Scored quite a few stage points in that first stage because of it. Led some laps. Ty Dillon 19th out of 23 in qualifying. 27.133. As he just wrapped up his lap. Best finish for Ty Dillon at Phoenix is 11th in the 2017 fall race. And he'll be making his 17th track start this weekend. 3-time Phoenix winner Kyle Busch, all with Joe Gibbs Racing, is now on track. He finished 5th in the fall race of last season. His first top 10 with Richard Childress Racing at Phoenix. What can Kyle Busch have in store for this weekend? Didn't show the speed at COTA last week as I would have thought he was going to have going in. He flirted with a top 10 at times late. but never saw him up in the top 5 leading laps like he did the year prior. Another track where he had a top 5 at last season. We'll see how that fares for him, starting with qualifying today. 27.037 for Kyle Busch. And that will move him into 16th, middle of the road. Kind of back half of the field, if you will, by the time things are going to cycle out. As we still have 12 drivers to qualify. So not a great qualifying effort for Kyle Busch. His teammate Austin Dillon and Austin Hill are right there in front of him in 14th and 15th. So RCR 1, 2, 3, 14th through 16th. Back half of the leaderboard. Denny Hamlin qualified on the pole for the fall race last season. Led over 200 laps in that race. Also led quite a few laps in the spring event to a runner-up finish there. This was a great track for him last year. I'm sure he'll be quick again this season. Hamlin is a 2-time Phoenix winner. His first of which back in 2012. And then he also won the fall race of 2019. So far, solid lap by Hamlin. Will time him in 6th, 26.819. A lot of drivers showing very loose in turns 3 and 4 throughout this session. Track temperature is rising. That's something I stated back in practice that was going to happen in this qualifying session. 9 a.m. local start time for practice, qualifying beginning a little bit after 11 a.m. Or sorry, a little after 10 a.m. local time. Started qualifying, it was 65 degrees. It's already risen 6 degrees to 71 over the course of the last 45 minutes or so. It's about that time of the day. Especially out in Phoenix, where it is more often than not a sunshiny day. Sun's going to be beating down on the track. Track temp up over 100 degrees. Relatively warm day scheduled for tomorrow as well. On to William Byron, who made it to the championship a season ago. Former Phoenix winner of a spring race back in 2023. And he is a former pole sitter at Phoenix as well. Not pacing well enough to go for the pole on Cindric. And it'll be 5th for Byron. Top 5 so far, 26.791. I'm curious to see how the 2 Penske Fords are going to do. Joey Logano being one of which, and he's on track right now. 4-time winner for Logano at Phoenix, most of any active driver. 80 laps led in 3 different races of the next-gen era, with 2 next-gen wins, both of those the championship races at 2022 and 2024. He's got 2 Gen 6 wins as well at Phoenix with Penske Racing. All right, Joey, let's see what you got. 27 driver in qualifying, which means we only have 9 left after this. Little loose out of turn 2, nothing major. He's tracking in the green versus his teammate Austin Cindric, 26.561, and a new pole sitter. By a little less than 0.2 of a second. Logano over Cindric. Awesome job there, 135.537 mile per hour average. Almost a whole mile per hour faster than Cindric's lap. So new time to beat for Logano, 26.561. Cindric holds on to second still for an all Penske front row. In IndyCar earlier today, Joseph Newgarden. I should say later today, after qualifying yesterday, Joseph Newgarden going to be on the pole for that race. So Penske trying to sweep the pole and sweep the races on the weekend of their 60th anniversary as a race team with team owner Roger Penske. Part of an IndyCar NASCAR doubleheader out in the desert. Christopher Bell on track. He's won the last 2 spring races at Phoenix. And in 3 of the last 4 Phoenix starts, he's led 50, 143, and 105 laps. Across 3 of those races, finished top 5 in each. And again, 2 wins. 9th in qualifying for Bell, right around where he was in practice, 26.836 for Christopher. 8 drivers to go in qualifying. Your final 8. Up next will be Kyle Larson, followed by AJ Allmendinger, Bubba Wallace, and Ty Gibbs, who was fastest in Group 2 practice. And then another Penske Ford Ryan Blaney, followed by Michael McDowell, Chase Elliott, Shane Van Gisbergen, and of course Tyler Reddick, who was on the pole last week at COTA. Trying to go for 2 poles in a row. Trying to go for 4 wins in a row to start the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. Full screen commercial break as of right now. You're listening live on KRC. We'll take a quick break of our own, the final of the stream. Kyle M. Lance, thanks for tuning in, as well as many others. If you're just tuning in for the first time, be sure to hit the like button. Our like goal is to get to 50 throughout the course of today's practice and qualifying stream. And we are currently at 42. So 8 likes shy of our goal of 50 today. Again, be sure to hit the like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content along the way. At the start of the stream today, we were just 1 subscriber shy of 7,000 on the channel. We are still only 1 subscriber shy of 7,000 on the channel. So if you have not hit the subscribe button yet, please do so we can get to that goal before the end of the stream. We got 2 more streams coming yet this weekend. Part of our Full Flag to Flag live commentary coverage of NASCAR that we have every weekend here on the channel. Excluding races that, of course, I would go to in person. We'll be live for the O'Reilly race later tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and we'll also be live for tomorrow's Cup race, beginning with our pre-race at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow afternoon.
For the IndyCar, yellow line is a no-go zone. But boy, and there's why. Yep, takes a pounding. Recovery Logano fastest, taking the pole from Austin Cindric, but those 2 Fords right now have the front row with 9 drivers to go.
It was always so interesting for me when I drove these Fords and this Gen 7 car, just how much they would pick up in qualifying from where you practice. We saw those cars both run fairly good, and you talked about Joey Logano thinking that he was pretty good on the long run. They always do a really good job, air pressures and things that they have with the balance of their car to be able to pick up a fair amount more speed than a lot of people in qualifying compared to practice.
All right, Fords first and second Chevrolet. Positions 3 through 6. The best Toyota is Hamlin in 8th. As Kyle Larson rolls out.
And these are the cars that we had a lot of questions about. You see him back that corner up a lot like Suarez did to be able to get that run to the green. That was very productive for Daniel. Put you lower on the racetrack. He's way down the racetrack like Austin Dillon was.
Didn't quite get the arc the same as Logano. We're right there. Got back to the gas good. Car answered the call.
Yeah, Logano just beat him into turn 3.
Just inched him down.
Crazy. About a 2 mile per hour difference at the start finish line. Logano had about 139 miles per hour to Larson in second with a 137. It was a great lap by Larson to get to second place with that 26.678, roughly 600ths of a second faster than Cindric, but still over a 10th off of Logano. So the gap's still pretty wide despite minimizing a bit onto AJ Allmendinger in the 16. As for Larson, he's a 1-time Phoenix winner, the fall race of 2021, where he won his first of 2 championships at Phoenix. Last year, he won the title without winning the race. Part of a 3rd place finish that day. 1 win, 9 top 5s for Larson at Phoenix, and 12 top 10s in his last 14 races at the racetrack. So he has been very consistent and very fast. Just not a driver who's going to lead a lot of laps here, but he is going to be one that can compete, as we see Larson do on many tracks. Connor Burke, by the way, thanks for tuning into the stream. Taking McDowell for the pole. That's a bold prediction. McDowell, another Arizona native. Clint Boyer in his fire suit for IndyCar already. He's going to be in the 2-seater here shortly. Sure, they'll talk about that over the pre-race broadcast tomorrow on Fox Sports 1. Pulling on my notes here, as for AJ Allmendinger, 18th with a 26.905 for AJ. His best finish at Phoenix was in 2011, where he finished 6th in the fall race. 19 races since the last top 10 at Phoenix for Allmendinger before this weekend. And on to Bubba Wallace at the 23 for 2311. His teammate Tyler Reddick will be the last driver to qualify. Wallace finished 7th in the fall race in 2024 here, his best Phoenix run to date. Second in points after the first 3 races of the year. Survived with a pretty good stage point day at COTA. Came in second in points, left still second in points. Though because of Reddick winning again, he is 70 points out of first, but right there. 12th for Bubba Wallace in qualifying. 22nd, sorry. Not 12th, 22nd, 27.021. Not a good lap for Bubba. JGR Toyotas have been quick in qualifying, but not as quick to that of the Penske Fords and the 1 Hendrick Chevy of Larson. Right now, Hamlin, the best of the JGR bunch, in 9th, and Bell is 10th. Briscoe 15th. Briscoe was the 3rd driver out in qualifying, so that might have hindered his lap a bit. Less rubber on the track from practice with the sweeper trucks on track in between practice and qualifying. Gibbs winning the championship in the then NASCAR Xfinity Series back in 2022 here at Phoenix. Still looking for his first career overall Cup Series victory. He was he was fastest in the second group of practice, is what I was going to say. Not as quick in qualifying overall, though, with a 26.840. 12th for Ty Gibbs. Maybe the last best shot to go for the pole right here, Ryan Blaney. His Penske teammate on the front row. His other Penske teammate, Austin Cindric, is 3rd. Wood Brothers affiliate, and 8th of Josh Berry, despite going out early in his qualifying run. Blaney has finished 2nd or better 5 times in the last 7 races at Phoenix. His 1 win here came in the fall last season, and he has 4 runner-ups. Arguably the best track for him, at least from consistency in the NASCAR Cup Series. He's a former pole sitter at this track as well. 2-time pole sitter at that. We'll see if he can get his 3rd. Tried to back up turns 1 and 2. A little bit better than Joey Logano, but Logano just rounded the corner out better than him. And Blaney's not really going to have much of a shot in turns 3 and 4 to go for the pole. We'll see where he'll settle in. Lap time sheet. Still a good lap. 5th for Blaney, 26.747. Almost 2/10 off his teammate Logano, who still has the top time. So Logano still on the pole. 4 drivers left in qualifying. We've got Michael McDowell, Chase Elliott, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Tyler Reddick left. Here is McDowell, Arizona native. His teammates, 1st and 2nd in practice. McDowell, though, nowhere to be found in the top 10. Though McDowell 5th in Group 2 practice. So he showed some speed, just not to that of Daniel Suarez and Carson Hocevar within the Spire organization. Pretty good coming to the green into turns 1 and 2. We'll see how McDowell does. Trying to push his car through turns 1 and 2. At 2/3 to 3/4 mark through turns 1 and 2, Logano really wrapped towards the bottom with a better straight line exit speed than a lot of these other drivers who have gone out since him. That's what it looks like based off the Ghost car. Just part of maybe going part throttle a little bit longer into the corner before standing on the gas. Got a much more patient on his lap than others. Former Phoenix winner Chase Elliott's only win here came in the 2020 championship race where he ended up winning his first and only career cup title. He has no top 5s in the next gen era at Phoenix, but he does have 3 straight top 10s. So on to Chase Elliott. Going to close out the chat. Polls were late in qualifying. So far, 55 of you had voted for who you think is going to qualify on the poll. 64% taking somebody other than Bell, Blaney, or Hamlin. And right now, other Joey Logano leads that category, and other will win the category because of the 3 now remaining drivers. None of them are Hamlin, Blaney, or Bell. So thanks to all that voted, and guys are going to be correct today. It's been the cream of the crop when it comes to the races at Phoenix between 2025, but we'll see how the qualifying session goes here in 2026. Logano still looking good. Not the greatest lap for Chase Elliott. He's going to be outside the top 20. 24th for Elliott, 26.956. It was a very disappointing qualifying effort for Chase. 2 drivers to go. Shane Van Gisbergen and the 3-time winner already this season, Tyler Reddick. SVG was 31st in practice overall. Tyler Reddick was 9th fastest in practice, 4th in Group 2. And Reddick also had a spin down in turns 1 and 2. So he knows where his line is at. SVG trying to get the car to hold up off the exit of turn 2. He's got a pretty good lap going right now. Honestly, he's got a great shot at a top 10 if he has a good 3 and 4. I think that's pretty good. I think he's going to get a top 10 starting spot tomorrow. We'll see. No, not quite. Not a great exit to turn 4 for SVG. It was looking very promising to the end. 17th for SVG, 26.878. He was tight off of turn 2, and I believe tight again off turn 4. Just getting back in the gas a little too soon. Can't get the rotation in the car. Whatever it may be. Again, Brad Keselowski not going to qualify, so he'll start last in a backup car tomorrow unless they can get the primary fix. But either way, missing out on qualifying following his practice crash leaves just Tyler Reddick to go. Based off the metric system of where you finished the most recent week, the fastest laps from the week before, and where you're at in owners and drivers points, well, the 45 atop all those lists. Unanimously will be the last driver to qualify today. Through turns 1 and 2, it's looking like Logano. Down the back straightaway, Reddick is slipping just a bit. And into 3 and 4. He's hanging with the 22, but I don't think he's going to have a pickup in 3 and 4. Joey much better than any other driver in that area of the track. 8th for Reddick, just above where he was in practice, 26.787. And Joey Logano will score his first pole of the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. Logano on pole. Kyle Larson will be starting second for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series Straight Talk Wireless 500. Phoenix Raceway. Average lap time speed of 135.537 miles per hour on a lap time of 26.561. This will be Logano's 3rd career pole at Phoenix. And here he is with Regan Smith.
For Penske, celebrating, of course, the 60th anniversary this entire season, and it's always good in the race, but evidently it's good in qualifying too.
I think so. Obviously, it was good for qualifying. I thought we were pretty good in the long run too. But Steve had a really special weekend for Team Penske, celebrating our 60th, and we got Scott McLaughlin's Bathurst 1000 winner paint scheme, so it looks cool. He won a lot of races that year in the same paint scheme, so maybe we should keep this one all the time. I'm not sure, but feel good about that. Cool for Team Penske. Maluka's got the IndyCar pole, and then so we're able to sweep the poles at least here so far, and hopefully we can do it more in the race. It matters a lot more then.
As we think ahead to the race, more horsepower, Joey. What do you anticipate? It sounded like a lot of guys maybe struggling with handling in practice earlier today. What do you anticipate tomorrow?
It's pretty fun. It's slick. I don't think anybody's car feels good. I told my team that, so I don't really feel good, but we're got decent pace. So that's good for racing, right? I've already seen cars starting to wander up the racetrack, trying to find grip anywhere they can, and want to be at 10 degrees or so tomorrow. It's going to be even slicker, and yeah, we're going to be screaming for tires about every chance you can because it's pretty slick out here.
Larry, I love it when the drivers say it's fun and it's slick. It's going to be exciting tomorrow.
Oh, yes, it will. I'm here with Kyle Larson. Kyle finally got that first top 10 last week at COTA. Good way to start this 1 mile racetrack on the outside the front row.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good to qualify better. My confidence was not very high after practice, but yeah, we typically, I feel like, qualify decent here. So yeah, happy with it. I haven't seen, where I lost some time, but I definitely missed my marks a little bit, through both ends of the racetrack. But still, to be on the front row, it's says a lot about our team and the fight we had after practice. Because yeah, like I said, we were a bit lost, or at least I felt like we were lost. So yeah, good. Just yeah, now go to work overnight, try to learn what I can. Talk to teammates, see what they felt, and try to get our car a bit better, quite a bit better for the race tomorrow, and see if we can keep the Penske cars within range.
So, Kyle, you ran a number of laps in practice. A lot of drivers are talking about they are feeling this added horsepower. What do you think about the 80 more horsepower for this race tomorrow?
Yeah, I was surprised about that. I haven't really felt the power in the road courses that I've done. I did a test last year and then COTA last week, and I didn't really feel the power at all. But yeah, as soon as I got on the throttle today, I was like, okay, we're definitely going faster down the straightaway. And then my car was just really bad in practice, but I felt like I was slipping and sliding a lot more. So I think if we can get our balance better, I think you'll still feel the power down the straightaway, but I think the corners will feel similar. But I would assume, tire management would be a little bit harder to handle, but yeah, overall it felt good. I was happy with the power increase and feeling like you could actually tell some speed difference into turn one.
All right. Hey, Clint, you maybe can grab Kyle. He's running IndyCar around this 1 mile racetrack. Give you some pointers.
Well, I wonder if he can help me how to fit in the thing, first of all.
Well,
he's about 2 feet shorter than I am.
We don't even give Clint a steering wheel, so he just
That's
needs
right.
to sit back there and be entertaining.
Just, you're going to tell me.
All right, Joey Logano on the pole for tomorrow's race. We'll go through the full field starting lineup before we end this stream. IndyCar race coverage coming up here very shortly on your local Fox affiliate. We'll be live for tomorrow's Cup race at 3 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel. Will be the first Cup race on Fox Sports 1 in 2026 as well. So visually, Fox Sports 1 right here at 3 p.m. Eastern. Later tonight on the CW will be the O'Reilly race. We'll be live for that one. That will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, our next live commentary stream. Starting lineup for tomorrow's Straight Talk Wireless 500, is going to be Joey Logano on the pole for the third time in his Phoenix Cup career, going for his fifth win at the track, which is already the most of any active driver. Kyle Larson looking for his second track win will be outside of row 1. In row 2 will be Austin Cindric looking for his first track top 10 and Daniel Suarez. Alongside in row 2 will be last year's fall race winner Ryan Blaney, alongside the fall race winner of 2023, Ross Chastain. Carson Hocevar, Tyler Reddick will be in row 4. Reddick trying to go 4 for 4 to start the Cup season. And Byron, former spring race winner, alongside Josh Berry in row 5. That rounds out the top 10. Row 6, Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell, who dominated the races last season. Hamlin in laps led in the fall, and Bell has won the last 2 spring events. In row 7 will be Ryan Preece and Ty Gibbs. Row 8, John Hunter Nemechek and Michael McDowell. Row 9, Chris Buescher, Shane Van Gisbergen. And then row 10, rounding out the top half of the field, rookie Connor Zilic and Chase Briscoe. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Riley Herbst in row 11. Row 12, AJ Allmendinger, Zane Smith. Row 13, Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott. Row 14 will be Austin Hill and Bubba Wallace. Kyle Busch, Todd Gillen, row 15. Anthony Alfredo, Eric Jones, row 16. Ty Dillon, Cody Ware, row 17. Row 18, Noah Gragson, Cole Custer. Brad Keselowski did not participate in qualifying. He'll start last in 37th, row 19. They did not go over the starting lineup on Prime Video each of these last 2 weeks. So a little bit upset about that, but obviously we have the starting lineup for you on screen right here, so read it off to you. We did get to our like goal of 50 likes for today's stream. Appreciate everybody doing that. We're at 56 right now, so be sure to hit that like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content on the road to 7,000 subs on the channel. We were just 1 subscriber away entering today's stream. We leave today We are still at $69.99. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet done so. We'll be live again for the O'Reilly race later. Still one subscriber away from 7,000. If you're not subscribed, definitely be sure to do so. And I'll see you again later tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live tonight for the O'Reilly race, and we'll be live tomorrow for the Cup race at 3 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later.